Bad guys. Most of the day I doze. Late in the afternoon, Mac approaches. Bob slips under knot tag and prefers to keep a low profile around Mac. Mac's gaze falls on my pool. A corner of one of my paintings is visible. "What's that, big guy?" he asks. I calmly eat an orange, ignoring him, but my heart is racing. Mac kicks at my plastic pool. Underneath it are all the paintings. Mac yanks on the piece of paper. It slips out easily, and he doesn't seem to notice the other paintings. The page is striped with green, which is what happens when blue paint and yellow paint run together. It's supposed to be a patch of grass. "Not bad. Where'd you get the paint anyway? George's kid?" He considers. I'll bet I can get 30 for this picture, maybe even 40. Not bad. Mac turns the TV. It's a Western. There's a human with a big hat and a small gun, and he has a shiny star pinned to his chest. That means he's the sheriff. He will be getting rid of all the bad guys. "If this sells quick, I'm getting you some more of that paint, buddy," Mac says. He walks away from my painting, Ruby's painting, for a moment. I imagine what it would feel like to be a sheriff. Ad. "Good news, huh?" Bob says when Mac's out of the earshot. "Looks like you may be getting some more supplies." "I don't want to paint for Mac," I say. "I'm painting for Ruby." "Can't you do both?" Bob says. "You're an artist, after all." While I watch the movie, I try to come up with a new hiding place for my paintings. Maybe I think I could fold them or once they're dry and stuff them in the knot tag. It's a long movie, and at the end, the sheriff marries the woman who owns the salon, which is the watering hole for the humans, but not horses. It's been a long time since I've seen a Western that was also a romance. "I like that movie," I say to Bob. "Too many horses, not enough dogs," he comments. An ad comes on. I don't understand ads. They're not like Westerns, where you know who the bad guy is supposed to be. And they're hardly ever romantic, unless the man and the woman are brushing their teeth before they face lick. I watch an ad for underarm deodorant. "How do you know who's who if they don't smell?" I ask Bob. "Humans reek," Bob replies. "They just don't notice because they are incompetent noses." Another ad comes on, and I see children with their parents buying tickets, just like the tickets Mac sells. They laugh and they enjoy their ice cream cones as they walk down the path. They pause to watch two sleepy-eyed cats, huge and striped, dozing in the long grass. Tigers. I know, because I saw them on the nature show once. Words flash across the screen, accompanied by a drawing of a red giraffe. The giraffe vanishes, and I see human families staring at another kind of family. Elephants, old and young. They're surrounded by rocks and trees and grass and room to wander. It's a wild cage. It's a zoo. I see where it begins and where it ends. The wall that says, "You are this and we are that, and that is how it will always be." It's not a perfect place. Even in just a few fleeting seconds on the TV screen, I can see that. A perfect place would need no walls. But it's a place I need. I gaze at the elephants and I look over at Ruby, all small and alone. Before the ad ends, I try to remember every last detail. Rocks, trees, tails, trunks. It's the picture. It's the picture I need to paint. Imagining. It's different now that when I paint. I'm not painting what I see in front of me. A banana, an apple. I'm painting what I see in my head. Things that don't really exist. At least, not yet. Knot tag. I pull out knot tag stuffing. Carefully, I fill her with my paintings, hiding them so Mac won't sell them. She's large, bigger than Bob, but I still have to crumple up a few of them. Bob tries to settle on her for a nap. You've killed her, he complains. I had to, I say. I miss your stomach, Bob admits. It's so spacious. When Julie arrives, she notices that I've used up my paints and my paper. Wow, Julia shakes her head. You are one serious artist, Ivan. One more thing. My finger painting has sold for $40 with a frame. Mac is happy. He brings me a huge pile of paper and big buckets of paint. Get to work, he says. I paint for Mac during the day and for Ruby at night. I nap when I can. But my nighttime pattern isn't quite right. It's big, that's for sure. When I place all the pieces on the floor, my cage, side by side, the cement is almost completely covered, but something is still missing. Bob says I'm crazy. There's Ruby, he says, pointing with his nose. And there's a zoo. And there are the other elephants. What's wrong with it? It needs one more thing, I say. Bob groans. You're being a temperamental artist. What could be missing? I stare at the huge expanse of colors and shapes. I don't know how to explain to Bob that it isn't done yet. I'll just have to wait, I say. Something will come to me, and then I'll know my painting is finally ready. The 7 o'clock show. During the last show of the day, Ruby seems tired. So when she stumbles, Mac reaches for the claw stick. I tense, waiting for her to strike back. Ruby doesn't even flinch. She just keeps plodding along, and after a while, Snickers jumps onto her back. 12. I lie in my cage, Bob on my stomach. We are watching Julia do her homework. She doesn't seem to be enjoying it. I can tell that because she's sighing more than she usually does. Again, for the 100th time, or maybe the 1,000th time, I wonder what is missing from my painting. And for the 100th time, or maybe the 1,000th time, I don't have the answer. Dad? Julia says as George passes by with a mop. Can I ask you a question? May I? George corrects. Ask away. Julia glances down at her piece of paper. What is the difference between the word Principal and the one spelled Principle? Well, the first one is the principal is the head of the school, like Mrs. Garcia. The second one is the belief that helps you know what is right or wrong. He smiles. For example, it's against my principles to do my daughter's homework for her. Julia groans. Ugh. I'm going to be an artist when I grow up. Why do I need to know how to spell? With a laugh, George heads off. Poor Julia, I think. Gorillas get by just fine without learning how to spell. All those endless letters and sticks and circles and zigzags filling up the books and magazines, billboards and candy wrappers. Words. Humans love their words. I leap up. Bob goes flying straight into my pool. A word. You know how I feel about wet feet, Bob yells. He scrambles out of the water, shaking each foot with dismay. I look out my window and the billboard. I can still hear Mac's voice in my head. Come to the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade, home of the one and only Ivan, Mighty Silverback. I count to 12, and then I count again, just to be sure. So I lay out 16 pieces of the poster paper, 4 down, 4 across, a perfect square. What are you up to? Bob demands. I'm guessing it doesn't involve sleep. It has to do with the billboard. That sign's a monstrosity, particularly since I'm not on it. I grab my bucket of red paint. You're not on the billboard because you're not in the show, I point out. Technically, I don't even live here, Bob says with a sniff. I'm just homeless by choice. I know. I'm just saying. I study the billboard. Then I make 2 fat lines. Home broom handles and another fat line connects them. And I stand back. What do you think? What is it? No, wait, let me guess. A ladder? Not a ladder. I say a letter. At least think that's what they're called. I have to make 3 more. Bob huddles up the next knot tag. Why? He says, yawning. Because then I'll have a word, a very important word. I dip my fingers into the paint. What word? Bob asks. Home. Bob closes his eyes. That's not so important, he says quietly. Nervous. All day long I knuckle walk around my cage. I'm so nervous I can't nap. I can't even eat. Well, not very much anyways. I can usually eat. I'm ready to show Julia what I've made. It has to be Julia. She's an artist. Surely she will look at my painting and she won't notice the smudges and tears. She won't care if there's pieces that quite don't fit together. She'll see past all of that. Surely Julia will see what I've imagined. I watch Ruby's trudge sullenly through the 4 o'clock show, and I wonder, what will happen if I fail? What if I can't make Julia understand? But of course, I know the answer. Nothing. Nothing will happen. Ruby will remain in the main entrance of the Big 8 Top Mall and Video Arcade, conveniently located off of I-95, with the shows at 2, 4, and 7. 365 days a year, year after year.